Welcome, ball watchers. We've got an extra special episode for you all today, and that is celebrating our 1 year anniversary, birthday, whatever you want to call it, of existence, man, Justin. We've been at it for, I don't have the exact count, but I want to say like 55 episodes, like averaging one a week since we started. How crazy is that?
That sounds it's surprising that it's gotten that high considering we were looking at like one every 2 weeks. And I know we
Yeah.
talked about like give a little credit to Jake here. You shot me a text in February
Yeah.
of 2022
Yeah.
and he was like, "Hey, I got an idea. Like I want you to try to help out with something." I'm like, "Oh god, like sure, like anything for you, dude." And he's like, "Let's just talk over lunch." I'm like, "Oh, it's like serious." And he's like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to start a podcast." I'm like, "Oh, that's great. Like, do you want me to like promote it? Like, what do you want me to do?" He goes, "No, I want you to co-host." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"I don't know about that one, buddy."
We've come a long way from that first recording, man. Oh my God. It's been a journey, but I think we've been a little bit aided by the fact that this team is just off to a fantastic start to the season. But we talk a lot about them, Justin. So I think we wanted to open up today to kind of just talk about what our listeners want to hear about because we have a fair few bit now. So thank you to you all for supporting the show.
Yeah, I would say, and also when we come a long way. Last thing I'll say, Jake, I don't know if people know that story. The first time we recorded, it was a 40-minute episode about just like MLS history in general. And it took us like 2 hours and 45 minutes to record it. And then you had to do like all the editing and cutting afterwards. Like I was so nervous I read my own intro, like about myself. Like my name is Justin Graham. I went to St. Francis Borgia High School.
I remember, Justin, you definitely come a long way, but in a good way. And before we get into all the fun here, I do want to share screen and show you all one thing that we got to get out of the way and got to plug up because we've got some exciting stuff ahead, man. This weekend is going to be awesome. And it's very awesome because of something we have going on. So we talked about this, Justin, I think on Sunday in the recap episode, but we were reached out to by some of our friends at Sports and Social at Ballpark Village, and they wanted to have us in to do a pregame show for the ball for the ball watching for the St. Louis City versus Colorado Rapids kind of pregame and talk about really whatever else in the soccer sphere we wanted to, and all at Sports and Social live. So we will not be, blasting that like audio out loud in the actual bar itself, but we'll be doing pregame kind of content covering. We'll be doing a live stream here on YouTube Live, as well on Facebook and Twitter as well. So no different. We're just going to be from a different setting. So get your butt up and come on out, everyone. Like it's going to be a blast. Sports and Social is an awesome soccer bar in downtown. It's kind of the official soccer bar of Ballpark Village. They have great beer specials. We'll be able to give a couple drinks on the house out to especially some of the first arrivals, but come on out and we'd love to meet you all.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I would say, even though we're not blasting the sound, just to be there. It's going to be a late soccer game. One thing to look forward to ahead of that, Battlehawks have their last game of the season going into the playoffs. We have a little preview before that as well. We'll talk about later in the show today. But so you can just walk over from Battlehawks down to Ballpark Village. We'll be there pretty much. I'll be doing that, walking from Battlehawks to Ballpark, and we'll be there the whole time. Late game away at Colorado, so it doesn't start till 8:30. So get a little dinner and a little ball watching.
It's going to be fantastic. It's our first time doing this. So for all those who have been with us since the early days, or even those that have just arrived, like feel free to come on out, pop on by. It's a cool place to watch the game. They do a lot of cool promotions and activities and giveaways at Sports and Social. So we're looking forward to being there and being a part of the atmosphere. So definitely come on out on Saturday, April 22nd. We'll be going live at 5:30, but we'll be getting there a little bit earlier and staying some after as well. So feel free to get, really in there anywhere around that time. So that is what we have for that. Justin, let's get into some of the fun, man. We got a lot of good questions submitted today.
Jake, we've got good questions, and people are already kind of roasting me in the comments.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna include him. This skitty witty guy or female, I apologize.
I do.
He called me out last time. Dude, I've tried with the lighting. I got a Ring camera. Like it's my work computer that when I lean back, it lightens up the background, and then when I go forward, it gets darker. I don't know what's going on there. And then Austin Beers, didn't know you're a Washington High guy. Boo Borgia. I think their chant was BLUEGAYS was the only they could really spell as far as their chants go. Shout out Braden Roberts on that one. But let's keep it fun with this one, Jake. Let's bring in some comments. Let's just kind of run through the questions we received today.
We got some good ones, man. So I think we broke it out, Justin, into kind of stuff around the city team. In general, we broke around the city players. We got some around City Park specifically, some around the U.S. men's and women's. and then some that are just more general and fun, which we do tend to have a lot of on this show. So let's jump into some of the city team ones. Let's keep it city oriented to start here, Justin. We got a comment from JD24 on Twitter saying, I read somewhere that City's early success is embarrassing for the MLS. What are your thoughts on this? I don't know if you want to take that, Justin, but I'm happy to as well. I actually read an article that was
let's do that. We didn't.
Yeah, that was almost
really,
about
we didn't really.
Go ahead.
I think we're on a lag. I was going to say, I don't think we really play in this out. I'd say you read the question, I'll go with the answer, then I'll read the question, you go with an answer. We'll go back and forth on this, but an embarrassment to the MLS, I don't know who's saying that. I think it's tough. I would say it's more embarrassing for some of the other teams that we played against that they're losing to an expansion draft. But if you're the MLS, you're extremely happy to see a brand new team doing this well, not only on the field, but in the stands. And there's nothing that is downgrading for that. Any news is good news. And seeing an expansion team start 5-0 and still have the record that we are today at 6-2, if you're the MLS, you're just extremely excited, in my opinion.
Can you hear me now, Justin? Is it fine?
Yeah. Okay, cool. You're good.
I don't know why you'd feel embarrassed about this, especially as the league, because to me, you promote more teams wanting to enter the league, more expansion sides to come in, because you show that you can be a viable, decent team right out of the gates. It also promotes coming in with styles of play versus just stars and buying up players. So I think it's all around a pretty net positive for the league. But that's question one, Justin. Move us on here.
Moves on to question two. Sorry, I was trying to see how many questions we got because we got a lot, but it did not work with my quick formatting. Reevaluating expectations after the first 2 months. What's a realistic goal for our team? From Michael Twigo on Twitter.
Oh, man. I think you and I talked about it a little bit on some other podcasts, but I would say a new realistic goal for us is maximizing the highest seed we can possibly get in qualifying in the Western Conference. So I think it's not just let's just scratch and claw our way to see if we can get a playoff spot. Now it's let's make the playoffs comfortable and let's see how high we can get and maybe lock in some home field. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I would completely agree. We talked about it. I think it was on the Cincy podcast that at this point, with the amount of points that we already have, sorry, you used the same word twice. The amount of points that we already have through 8 games, it's pretty much not a lock. I mean, we'd have to really fumble the bag in the rest of these games not to make the playoffs. So now it is, where are we going to finish in the playoff spot? Knock on wood, obviously still a long season. We can be injury prone. We still have a lot of tough games going, but looking ahead, it is more realistic now that we will be making the playoffs more than likely. So now how high up can we get to give us that home field advantage, which everybody that's been to games knows is so big for us?
Yep. All about it. Hypothetical, Justin. We advance a round or two in the playoffs and totally exceed our preseason expectations. How long do we realistically think Hackworth would stick around City? And how long do we think Lutz would go before he entertains some offers?
Jake, you take this one. It'll go smoother if you answer and then I answer and then the question. I figured it out.
Yeah, for Hackworth point, we were almost going to lose him before this season even started. I think he's a tremendously overqualified assistant coach that has a passion for just programmed coaching and knowing how to do that in a fantastic job. And he's done that already at City. So to me, it's not long for him. I would give him less time than I would give Lutz. I think Lutz will get some offers, especially if he continue down this path. He's shown an innate ability to build teams around a system and an ideology. And I think that's not something that you'll see for a lot of sporting directors. So I think we might lose Lutz as well. We'll probably lose both at some point. They're both doing great, which is a good problem to have. But I think we've got a little more runway with Lutz.
Hypothetically, I think I know City 2 is not doing as hot right now, but that's not just Coach Hackworth. Hackworth is an incredible coach. You already talked about it, that he had leaks to other clubs last year. I would say we have a better chance of losing him quicker, just with coaches being a little bit more in and out of systems. I would say Lutz is here for a couple of years. Yes, we've had a hot start, but soccer teams and everybody around the world knows that you kind of have to make that sustainable and build that. And Lutz has, and I'm not saying that Lutz background as it is, but you got to let that build over a season or a couple seasons at a minimum. I would say great to start, but you got to show that you can consistently do that before a club wants to bring you on.
I'm with you.
Next question. What would be a realistic possibility, and which one should we focus on with the MLS League, the US Open, or the League Cup? I think we could win one, not all three. Also, who should we add this summer and what position? This is from Alaverina on Twitter. I would say this first season, you focus on the regular season. That's what you get with the cups are fun, but they are kind of squeezed within the season. As you know, we're playing Union Omaha on Tuesday after being at Colorado. So not winning one of those is not surprising. I mean, it's really cool if you win one of those cups, and it's a lot of different teams, obviously from Mexico or USL and kind of all over. But I would say you definitely want to focus on that regular season. That's the goal. That's all these guys' goals. They don't start the season thinking, oh, I want to win the Leagues Cup. They want to win the MLS Cup, and they want to compete. So I think that shows longevity as opposed to a tournament that's kind of sprinkled in throughout the season.
Couldn't agree more. I'm not even going to add anything there, Justin. That's what I feel as well.
Wow.
When do we start a big focus on our future with City 2 and still not able to come up with a win so far? How urgent is it to build sustainable success outside of just this season? The City 2 point is interesting because, they have not won yet so far this season, which is so different compared to last season. But last season's roster was so different and a lot of first teamers blended in there and great players at that. So I still personally am very okay with City 2 going how it is, because I think City 2 to me is going to be more about the process versus the results and getting young players developmental time, minutes on the pitch, honing their skills and sharpening as players to get ready to make that next jump. And if that has to come at the outcome of some losses and you're not the most winning team, that's fine with me, because the goal of City 2 is not to win cups. It's to provide talent to the first team and funnel it up through there. So I'm all good with that. And I think that's how you do build sustainable success, is create a pipeline. And that's what we're, at least starting to do right now. So I'm very happy with that.
I completely agree. And we know a couple of those guys on the team, and they're working their butts off every day. And one thing that it sounds probably a little worse when it says that City 2 hasn't won a game. There are no ties, right? In the MLS Next Pro, you go straight to PKs, I believe.
I'm actually not sure.
The games that I'm watching. And also we've had some extremely close ones down towards the end as well. So it's been tough on those guys. But like you said, it really is just getting those guys a little bit older, getting more playing time is better than just sitting on the first team bench. So, I mean, we have Caden Glover, AJ Palazzolo, a couple of those guys, Owen O'Malley and John Klein. We have plenty of young guys that we've picked up in the draft or recently or signed homegrown that we will look to use down the line. It's just not their time yet. So I wouldn't worry too much about what the score lines have said so far.
Yep.
I liked this next one, Jake. This guy, it was Yabez Garcia on Instagram. He said, what will the rivalry / derby versus the other MLS team in Missouri look like? Because he knows that he can't say the S word. I told you that one time that we cannot use that on this podcast. He goes, I mean, in paper, they have a solid team, just underperforming. Also, so do you think that we'll get some traction within that rivalry? I would say, I think the rivalry is going to look good regardless. Even if you're playing teams, look at the Cardinals and the Cubs over the past couple of years, and before the Cubs were good for a year or two. Regardless if the team is good that you're playing against and the other team's incredible, it's the rivalry game. Everybody goes absolutely balls to the wall, and that's what I would look for in the Sporting Kansas City game. It's going to be an electric atmosphere here, 2 times at home, once in Kansas City. I will definitely be at all 3 of those, but you can't just expect that even though they're bottom of the table, you're going to get a dub like that. Like hopefully we should get with Colorado, because everyone goes as hard as they can when you're playing against someone just across the other side of the state.
Yeah. I think Sporting will, what's the opposite of regress? I guess progress. They're going to get better, like in terms of results. They have had some great XG without actually really many good outcomes for them. And they also, they just haven't scored much, man. But Sporting aside, there's already so much off the field drama. It'd be like, it's going to be so easy to create drama here. I think the way they play and the way we play, I think even all the players kind of have it ready. Like it's just kind of already a ready-made rivalry. And I think we're all just going to step into our shoes and fill that role once that gets going. So I'm excited for it. I think it'll be very easy to start that. And I think there will be some pretty tense moments in the field there between our teams. Justin, next question. Last in the City team kind of. Can we hold on to first in the table as we progress in the season? Unless I am, just totally mistaken. No, we're not going to hang on to first, in the table this entire time as we progress in the season. And that's totally fine. Not a lot of teams do. A lot of title races like this are on pushes and, switching of places and, chasing teams that are above you. And I think as long as we can lock a spot in that chase, we've already built ourselves such a good cushion of points that we're just sitting on top of right now. So let's keep that winning vibe going and build as much as we can of a foundation so we can be on some sort of chase and maybe get into a conversation of trying to lock in a high seed in the playoffs. So I think that's my goal. First is not necessarily my goal because no one cares about first in the season. You do get the Supporters Shield. People care about the MLS Cups.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say looking at our schedule coming up, Jake, and knock on wood, but I mean, we should be first after this weekend playing at Colorado. I know it's at higher altitude, but that team has just been underperforming this year. Home versus Timbers. Timbers is a good team, obviously, already played them. But I think what we need to focus on there is that some of those teams are better on the road than they are away. And then also after that, though, then we have at FC Dallas and at Chicago Fire, and then we're home versus Sporting. There's a little kind of easier run coming up for us. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we hold on to it for a little bit longer or kind of in and out of it recently. But the one thing I was going to say, Jake, before we get into, and I know you're sharing some more comments, before we get into city players subject, I would say anybody that's in the pod live right now, feel free to add comments. We'll answer your questions as it goes. I would say one, I don't know if you already put this up there yet or not, but Brett was asking us, are we going to the U.S. men's national team at City Park in June? Jake and I were texting all morning. I was a little confused. I thought our season ticket pre-sale was going on at 10. I called the guy. He said that we were the noon slot. Jumped on it right at noon. Got our good tickets. We love it. I'm excited to see it wasn't overly expensive, comparatively speaking, for a U.S. men's national team, especially in a park that only holds 22,500, considering Jerry World, SoFi, and Allegiance stadiums, and some of these larger NFL stadiums are going to be in this tournament. But I was pretty excited to see that and happy to get tickets with Jake.
Yeah, that was hype. That was definitely hype. I'm really excited for that. Donnie had a question as well in the comments saying, are we doing any other appearances on other teams, fans, podcasts? We've actually done a couple, right, Justin? We did Cincy last week on, I believe it was called the Jersey Swap podcast of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. We've done an MLS, like kind of I-80, like general MLS podcast. We've done Charlotte.
We did Charlotte, and we did another general MLS when they were bringing everybody on for like the preseason to get an understanding of a team like us that hasn't been around yet.
You're right. Yeah, so we definitely been on a couple. So we actually are. I see a comment from Nick. Nick, great comment. We're gonna get to that one actually very shortly here. But next question we had, Justin, was more on the personnel. So is Klauss possibly overrated or underperforming? Aside from multiple forced errors, of which he still had to finish and did well with, he has but 2 goals on the season. It's a tough because he probably is outperforming his XG definitely right now. So to an objective sense, yes. But I think a lot of where his value has been at, and you look at these last couple of games where he hasn't scored, is doing the dirty work and holding on to the ball and distributing and flicks onto his wingers and creating space for his wingers and behind, and just being a very physical presence. So I wouldn't go anywhere close to just calling him overrated or underperforming. I think he's actually still have a lot left to show for us. So I think we're just kind of scratching the surface with him.
I completely agree. And I think it's going to take time for him to get used to the playing style of the team. And I mean, yeah, you can knock him for the 3 giveaways that they've had, but he's finished all 3 of them as well. I don't think he's had one that he hasn't finished. So let's give him the props there as well. And then 2 goals in 8 games, not hot, but not awful either, especially when you're looking at, what do we have, 9 different goal scorers on this team. So he's one of those guys that's also distributing. And also when he's making a run, because of the way he can finish, he's pulling guys with him and creating space for Nico, Jared Stroud, other guys like that to get in front of net and finish. So yeah. I think he's doing it just as much off the ball that he's doing on the ball. So I would say that there's nothing we really need to worry about there. Next question. Starting 11 you want to see for Union Omaha game. Also curious how long you think Lutz remains at the club. From the Lou Boys SC. I know we talked about Lutz. I'll jump to that real quick, just circle back. I think he'll be here for a while. I think you need to not only show how well we can start a season, which isn't very impressive for what Lutz has done and the amount of talent that he's brought in, but you also have to show that you have to be able to continue that. So I think Lutz will be with us for a little bit. I'll let you run into this, Jake. I know you already have a starting 11 for the Union Omaha.
I put it down there, Justin. I think you would agree with me, but basically just the guys where I just want to get them some minutes. So I would put Ben Lund in at goal. I would put Selmier Pedro at left back after he just got his debut on Saturday. Bartlett and Yarrow would be my center back pairing. Enough experience with Bartlett. I know Yarrow can play at this level, especially against the USL League One side. I'd probably put Akil Watts at right back. So I'm resting basically my entire back 4, my starting back 4, but still have a lot of experience on that back line as well. Midfield, I would go. So I'm going to 4-4-2. Midfield, I would go Isak Jensen on the left, Indy and Miggy in the middle, and Celio Pompeo on the right. And then my two strikers would be I'd probably keep Joaquini up there, and I would put Adeniran in if he's healthy. If not, I might switch up and go Joaquini up top on his own, and maybe bring in someone like Aziel Jackson or something.
Yeah, I love that. I think you hit the nail on the head. And I think it's hard to say. I know for these games, like, yeah, you think that we should really take just a USL team with ease, but it is going to be coming off a quick turnaround after getting back from a Colorado game where, I know we have a couple comments here that the altitude doesn't play a factor in as much, but it'll definitely make those guys legs tired. That's an 8:30 kickoff local time, and then they have to come around and play 3 days later, technically on Tuesday. So yeah. I think you definitely want to make sure you don't pick up any injuries here before coming home again to the Timbers. But so I think it's good to see a lot of these guys that have already gotten some minutes and get to see some more minutes. So I think you ran it down pretty well.
Justin, let's finish up the player segment here, but basically the next two questions I'm going to combine. So if we had to sell a player as surplus in the summer transfer window, who would it be? And if you had to bolster his position, bringing in a new signing, what position would it be? That's from Joe. And then who would you rather have on the team, Firmino or Dzeko? So to start, I don't think I'm thinking right now about selling anyone. We've seen what, 8 games of a sample from all these guys right now. So I don't think anyone's on my just already fed up with him list. But if I wanted to sign someone in a certain position, I still think I want a little more muscle in the central midfield. I do feel like we've run into already just not having some options available at times with like Blum's injury and having COVID and Miggy being on U17 duty. I would like to reinforce that position if I had money. Neither of those guys are Firmino or Dzeko, but if I had to pick from one of them two, and Firmino looking like there's some rumors around him that are tangible right now, I would pick Firmino anyways. He's 6 years younger than Dzeko, and Dzeko's a goal scoring machine, but Firmino's still kind of doing it, put in some sub good appearances for Liverpool's side that's not having a great season, but still a great team filled with some great players. So I would 100% take Bobby Firmino, and I think he would slot in him and Klaus up top, or even him and Joaquini. I think just so dynamic.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I don't think there's anyone that I'm looking to sell right now. And obviously, I think we could, I'd say we could add scoring, and that was our worry going into the season, but we're pretty much leading the league in goals. So I'm not worried about scoring there. And our defense has obviously been phenomenal so far with Roman Berkey in the back. So I'm not worried about there. I'll definitely take Firmino over Dzeko. I think Dzeko's on the downturn. I don't know how old he is. I know you already knew that stat. You probably looked that up ahead of time, or you kind of already knew it. But I would say I also love this guy's Tim Parker's bucket hat was the one with that. Love that Twitter feed.
Yes, you did. Yep. Okay, cool. So Justin, let's take a quick break here and let's talk about our friends at Let Mo Play. Justin, I like to gamble sports. You like to gamble sports. We like to win money, and sometimes you have to lose money, but sometimes you're winning emotionally, like we done Saturday night. So our friends at Let Mo Play are residents of Missouri. They're Missouri born and bred people, and they're really connected to our state and trying to promote policies that make meaningful change in our community. And believe it or not, legalizing sports betting can be a means of doing that and create revenue streams for our state and create, job opportunities for our residents. So if you're a listener that, kind of sits on that side of the aisle and does think that this could be helpful, go ahead and go look up Let Mo Play and look them up on Twitter and Instagram or online and learn about what they have going on, trying to increase awareness there. So the fun part is that they want to reach people like you that can, institute meaningful change and make your voice heard. And to do so, they are giving us 2 tickets to St. Louis City SC's first ever U.S. Open Cup match on Tuesday, April 25th against Union Omaha. We've already talked about them a little bit, but 2 free tickets. That's hard to beat. And literally all you have to do is go to letmoplay.com/STLSC-tickets-giveaway. And we'll put the link out here if you can't remember that, and subscribe. Go learn more. Literally put your email in and you have to listen or get one email and learn about what they're doing. Like, it cannot hurt at all. And you get entered into a chance to win 2 free tickets at the game. So it's a win-win.
Go check out our Twitter. Jake put a tweet out. Like that tweet. Submissions run through Friday so that you only have 2 days now or less. I mean, well, what? 1, 2. Yeah, 2 days, 2 full days plus like 5 hours. Go knock that out quick. It's 2 free tickets. It's going to be a great game. I know we already talked about.
Yes, it is.
You've seen a lot of the same guys for City. This is the time to see when everybody's asking about like what's coming up the pipeline. I think this is where we could show it. So if you want to see some new faces on the field, it's going to be a great night Tuesday. The weather in St. Louis has been phenomenal. Go get some 2 free tickets.
Absolutely. Letmoplay.com, and we will send you all the link to get entered into the giveaway. So, Justin, let's move to food, man. I know you were just cramming some dinner down before this. I was as well. What has been your favorite stadium food so far from Ryan Hickerson on Twitter?
Beast barbecue, for sure. That was a pork steak sandwich. Oh my goodness. It still makes me kind of like my mouth water when I'm thinking about it. What about you?
Balkan treat box for me. Some of the lines have been definitely long, so I haven't done as much as I would like to have. And I don't want to like miss much of the game, obviously. So that's been my favorite so far. And it's also really close to me, and I like to go there. It's fantastic food. So
I will say another reason that we have not gotten that much food is because we've been eating at the Pitch right across the street, which is another fantastic place to get food. I don't know if you want to get toasted ravs, you want to get wings, you want to get sandwiches, you want to get salads, you want to get chicken pot pie. I've also just been filling up on frozen Irish coffees or the lobster rangoons. I've just pretty much ran down the entire menu. I'm like, yep, this time it's this one, and then just going through it. So I haven't been that hungry going into the park yet, but I do know we have phenomenal food, and it shows in the lines.
It really does.
Next one. Do you see a point in which St. Louis City will consider expanding the capacity of City Park? That's from Steve Davies on Twitter. I'll take this off first, Jake. I don't even know. Is that like a thing, or is that like possible? I saw you put this in there. I think yes. And this is one of those things we talk about. Same with Lutz. We've been so hot. It's the hottest ticket in town. And I think with St. Louis being a soccer city, it will stay that hot. But I think they built the stadium with a lot of research, knowing about what's going on. And you'll see some of these other teams like, Atlanta's selling out, but that's the Mercedes Dome. They don't have their own dome. So this is a soccer specific stadium that will not get used a whole lot outside of soccer. I'm pretty sure the grass guy already said like no concerts and stuff, if I remember correctly. So this is something that if they do expand, I don't even know where you'd put it, I guess in the corners and like build something up, but I don't see it happening. What about you?
I don't either. And I don't really want it to happen. I think I like how it is right now, and it's intimate. Do I think we could fill out Busch Stadium if we had to play there? Yeah, for every game. Bold take, but I will back that up. So yeah, I'm happy with our city park. Thoughts on the home atmosphere so far? Been seeing some negativity on social media about sitting versus standing, too much drum playing, and that question is from Corey on Twitter. Thanks, Corey, for submitting the question. Home atmosphere has been 10 out of 10. Great, a lot of fun. Very, a lot of buzz in the stadium, loud, very, very fun. And we know the players that are thinking the same thing. In terms of the negativity on social media, the sitting versus standing thing, to me, as long as you're being respectful of those around you, I don't really think it should matter too much. If you want to sit and, hopefully you can make your wishes known to someone that's in front of you and they can respect that. But otherwise, I think let people do what they want to do for the most part. And we know within reason, of course. Too much drum playing, it's the tempo for the game sometimes. So I think the drums I'm fine with as well. Obviously, pick different seats if you think the drum's too loud. I think it's fine where we are, Justin.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think there's some negativity, and it speaks pretty loud on Twitter, which is the most of social media I feel like people see this at, but it's very few and far between, in my opinion. I've seen a couple individuals, like you said, have not been respectful to the people around them, but otherwise the atmosphere has been great. I think City's been doing a great job with the food, the music, everything in between. So I think it's been phenomenal so far. And then I think we already, and this kind of touched on this as well with from Owen Wicker 5. I believe that was on Instagram. What has the club done right so far in terms of fan base and attendance? I mean, pretty much everything. I would say they've put a great product on the field. They've made the stadium, the Wi-Fi is faster than the Wi-Fi at my house. Definitely faster than the Wi-Fi at your house. And then I just think the food has been phenomenal. I haven't really heard a bad thing about the stadium, and the fan base has been so great as well.
Yep, I would agree. Everything's been very, very positive, I would say. Justin, we got some questions around the U.S. women's national team and the upcoming World Cup. So for all those that don't know, our women are going to, I think it's New Zealand, Australia, who are co-hosting the World Cup this year for the 2023 Women's World Cup, and they are looking to three-peat. So thoughts on the Women's World Cup and our team as a whole? So we're aiming to do what no team has ever done this year. I mean, obviously 3 World Cups is freaking insane. And we're going up there to do just that. In terms of the players that are doing that, I got a couple ones that we'll get to in the next question actually here. But final rosters, you'll probably see in the middle of June-ish for those that are kind of in and out of watching the women's national team, which I'm sure some people are with the Olympics and the World Cup, and they're always, so good. There's definitely been some rotation in names and personnel. So you want to kind of do a little research of your own before you watch those games. And those games are always a blast to watch. So I highly recommend you tuning in. It's July to August. So probably like right around like how the leagues cup will plan out for us is when the Women's World Cup will be on. And we are the favorite to win the tournament.
Yeah, I was about to say, when it comes to favorites, you can also bet on that. You can get the women, the U.S. women's to win at plus 275. They're number one. England at plus 350 is number two. And then you got Germany, Spain, a couple others that fall off behind this plus 600. I know a lot of City fans were able to go to the U.S. women's national team game at City Park. I believe that was a week ago. Unfortunately, I was still working. But I know they played Ireland. To give you an idea on that, Ireland is, if you bet $1, you win 150 on them. So, but take that with a grain of salt. Even though we only beat them 1-0, we beat them 3-0, 2 days before that? And you're getting a lot of these women that are trying to get into the field and see, hey, what kind of team do we actually want to have in the starting 11 for the World Cup? So I'm extremely pumped for the Women's World Cup. I think more soccer on TV, the better. And I'm extremely excited to follow them.
I'm too. In terms of, how the favorites go, yeah, European teams are getting better. Definitely closing the gap on the girls here. Teams like England, Germany, Spain, France. We lost to 3 of those teams last year in 2022. And we just lost our best and most informed forward in Mallory Swanson, who was hurt, I believe, a patellar tendon tear. She had 7 goals in 5 games so far this season. We've got a lot of depth in the forward spots in terms of people like Sophia Smith, who's kind of a newer oncomer, last year's MVP in the NWSL. Alex Morgan, of course, who was a Golden Boot last year. Trinity Rodman, and a lot of other players that can kind of fill that spot. So I think for us, it's going to be more about our midfield selections and our defense. Obviously, Becky, I think Becky's probably a staple on the back line for the team. So that'll be awesome for her to go over there and have that experience. Hopefully it's going out on a dub. That's my hope.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it was also awesome to see Becky's everything they did before the game in City for her 200th cap with the team. It seems like the girls had a great time when they were down here. And I mean, it looked like the atmosphere was absolutely electric, just as good for a City game. I would say even better for a U.S. women's national team game. And the team stuck around and signed jerseys and said hi to all the girls that are playing soccer in St. Louis. So I think it was very cool to see.
Great. Justin, general fun questions now. We've gotten through a lot of the soccer talk, and we'll still have some soccer talk, but now a little bit more on the fun side. I had a good debate here for you, Justin. Let's keep it quick, though, so we can get through a good amount of these. But if one is a real fan, with air quotes, and an Apple Season Pass viewer, is it okay to sit at home to watch? From the Soccer Dads pod on Twitter. And this gets into the whole, do you have to go to the game if you're really that big of a fan, or is it just fine to sit at home and watch? And I'm kind of on the team that you can be whatever type of fan you want to be. I'm not going to question your fandom because you are in the stadium versus wanting to watch on your couch at home. I like to do that a lot of the time too. So I think it's totally fine to be a real fan and do whatever you want.
Absolutely. I think it definitely depends on some of these late games. I mean, even if it's at home, but how would you, I would not fault anyone for watching the game on their couch this past weekend when it was a 2-hour rain delay. I think it's tough to expect people to do that. And you're a fan regardless. If you want to watch it where you want to watch it. I would never fault anyone for that. And I mean, if you want to have a party, let us know. We'll come over. I'm down. This is from Iris on Instagram. Hi, Iris. From Dusseldorf. How many fans of St. Louis City SC are outside of your city as well as outside of the U.S.? Do you follow the German League 1 or 2 leagues? Jake, I think I meant to pull up some stats on international listens that we get on Buzzsprout, but I think we have a couple from a couple different countries, and I know we have people from outside the state as well. And then do we follow the German 1 or 2 league? The Bundesliga is phenomenal. I mean, I followed it a lot more when Christian Pulisic was there, and watching him over at Borussia Dortmund with Roman Bürki. So I think it's still a lot of fun when you're looking at Bayern Munich in the Champions League and watching them. But yeah, definitely still follow them both.
Yeah, I do as well. And Justin, to the locations part, we've actually, I'm just seeing this now. We've gotten downloads in every single continent. In the order of importance, North America, obviously our biggest one. Europe is next. And then it's a far shot until we hit Asia, then Africa, then South America. They also have Oceania, which is Australia. Oh yeah. The IA? I feel like it's Oceania.
I thought it was just Oceana.
I have
You're
no
asking
idea,
the
man.
wrong dude.
No
dude.
idea. Okay. But yes, we have a wider base than I thought. Probably not much volume coming from there. Probably Iris is our biggest fan overseas, but that
By
would
far.
be
Irish
yeah,
rocks.
by far. We've got a fun question from our buddy Mike Stromberg on Instagram. Mike, shout Mike. Justin, give me your starting baseball lineup. Give me a couple positions for if you had to field a baseball team of city players. Who would they be?
All right, so I looked at yours. I'm a little surprised. I'm intrigued to see how you're going to take this compared to yours. So leadoff, I'm going with Jared Stroud, and I'm putting him. So we're talking about batter, leadoff batter, Jared Stroud, quick guy, a little smaller. Put him at shortstop, very good with his feet. Probably got a quick arm. I think he always gets a base hit. I would then put in the 3-hole, which is like usually one of your better hitters. I'm putting Leuven. I think he's just an absolute staple for the team, and that's gonna be an easy 3-hole guy. Cleanup, cleanup. And our catcher, Roman Berkey, just for his hands and his size. The closer, Joao Klaus. I know everybody's like, why are you putting him as like a pitcher? He scores a lot. Like he's supposed to be our main goal scorer. He just closes games out. It doesn't matter if you want to do it offensively or defensively. He closes games out. And designated hitter, I'm putting Tim Parker. Dude's an absolute horse of a human being. And Mike kind of added another part to that. What song would the closer come out to? Because like Hell's Bells is Ryan Helsley for St. Louis. I'm putting Tim Parker as Country Roads. Country Roads, bring me home.
Oh my God.
Just seems like a big country guy, and it just kind of makes sense.
My leadoff would be Nico Gioacchini, and he'd be probably like my center fielder. A lot of speed, definitely gonna make contact. He's gonna work his tail off to get to first base. 3-hole, Leuven. We both had Leuven, so yep. I'm not even going to talk about Leuven. My cleanup would be Klaus, though, like the big heavyweight man, and put him on. He's going to turn loose on this ball and just create havoc on any players that are in scoring position. So Klaus is my cleanup, probably first baseman. Starter Berkey, and I say Berkey because he's going to go out there and just pitch a shutout, man. The guy's just going to dictate the game. He's going to manage it, and that's Berkey for me. My closer would be Kyle, man. That's totally Kyle. Kyle Hebert as my reliever to just close things out. He's going to win the header. He's going to do whatever he can to maintain the clean sheet. And then DH, hot take, I'm going to say Rasmus Alm. I feel like we have a lot more to see in Rasmus Alm. This last game was incredible from him, and he was really productive when he was playing over in Sweden. So I'm actually thinking we could be getting into something with him. And then finally, bonus guy, Justin, Indy. The flex guy. Like this guy can play anywhere you want to stick him. He's good at those positions, good enough to get by, and he'd be like a second base, like anywhere in the outfield type guy.
I will say the one thing I forgot to say is my starting pitcher. I'm doing Ben Loot. The dude's 6'5". Imagine him standing on a mound and then pitching down at you. And he's got to be good with his hands because he's a goalie too. Probably his hands are probably like Kawhi Leonard's. Like hit the baseball would fit literally in like a third of the palm. But still, I think he could throw a nasty curveball.
All right, Justin. I got a good question here on if you can compare City to any EPL club, which team would they be and why? And this is from Michael Twigo on Twitter. I'll have a short answer to this one. Brentford is who I would compare them to in the EPL because I think Brentford, last time I checked at least, and I read some about them, do like some form of like Moneyball, kind of like the A's pioneered here. And for me, we're doing a version of that here at City. We're going after very, very certain and select personnel to fit a mold that we want to fit. And we're making a lot of productivity out of very minimal and cost-effective resources. So we're very much outperforming what people would expect. And I think that's kind of what Brentford is as well. They're a hard team to beat. They've earned, miraculous promotion up to the Premier League to be here in the first place. And they're doing it on that model. So I think they're kind of like us.
I would go ahead and say that we are Leicester City of 2016, and we're going to win the cup. That's all I got. I think I cut out, and you probably didn't hear me, but
Love it.
Let's move to the next one, Jake.
I can hear you. All
right. More info on the Gold Cup. So we've kind of talked about that as well. So the U.S. will be playing at home. It will be their second game, I believe, in the Gold Cup, and we'll be playing the winner of a playing game as of right now, a team that is still yet to make the Gold Cup. But if you haven't gotten your tickets, they went on pre-sale today. They will go on sale on Tuesday to the public. Pretty cheap. It was only $90 pre-fees. And something you should definitely look out for. And if people are like, oh, it's the Gold Cup, are we really going to bring our squad? This is one of those tournaments that is not like when we were talking about the Open Cup or the Leagues Cup. This is a tournament that is specific for the U.S. men's national team, and they will try to win this, and we will have all the guys on the pitch at that time. Get there if you haven't already.
I'm with it. I'm with you. Justin, we've got one on a quick 5-a-side. Top 5 places in the Hill. I'm gonna shorten it. I don't eat at the Hill enough, and I definitely should. I would say Joya's, Canetto's, probably Trujillo's for me are like my top 3.
Yeah, I would say Joya's great sandwich place there, Adriana's, but I'd go Canetto's is my number 1. I'd probably go Zia's number 2. And then I'd probably go Charlie Gito's number 3 as far as like nice sit down spots. If you guys haven't been over to the Hill, I would hope that the majority of listeners, if you've been to St. Louis, get there because the pizza and the Italian food is just phenomenal.
It is.
This is from RV3 on Instagram. Drums or flats? Pretty easy, Jake. Pretty easy question. I can see us definitely have some differing opinions here. Drums when I'm lazy, flats for the meat. If I had to pick one, I'm probably just going drums.
You would just go drum if you had to pick one?
If I had to pick one, it's so much. I don't like the work of like twisting and then like you don't get a lot of meat. I'm not a big work for my food thing. It's just like, oh, if I can get a big drum, I'm grabbing that guy.
Yeah, see, I'm not a drum guy. I'm a flat all the way across the board. Whatever situation, I'm a flats guy. I think it is the meat. I'm fine to work a little bit. I don't love to work for food, but I will for a good thick flat wing. Like that is.
You're kind of like I'm kind of built like a flat guy. You're kind of built like a drum guy.
Yeah, so we should definitely be inverse. Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
With the success of everything City has done so far, after having waited so many years, how long do you think it will take for St. Louis to land an NWSL team? We asked that very question, Justin, to Jim Kavanaugh during our interview. And I think he gave a very, reasonable response. And that is that right now they're just focused on the club and trying to make sure this is successful. And this was back before they even started. So totally get that response. I'd say it'll be a couple years, but I do think that it'll be on our vision and our roadmap to get that, because I think it would be such a great fit. And I do think we could support it very well. So I do think we'll eventually have one.
Yeah, I think we also got a kind of a follow-up on that one as well with Rich Uncle on Twitter. Since there's been a lot of buzz around the NWSL's newest team, Angel City FC, and their ownership group being female-driven, have you heard any talks about earlier female-driven ownership group, or anyone else for that matter, bringing one to St. Louis? Really wish for the national news we'd get more props to City owners in their group and everything they've done. So I completely agree. The reason I kind of wanted to relay on this one, Jake, is I don't think it is talked enough about with us having, is it the only female majority owned, the first female majority owned Major League Sports ownership group. And I think it's just incredible. I think it shows how well that this has worked, and it should be an equal thing at this point. I don't know why it hasn't been. And just bringing an NWSL team to St. Louis would be that much better. Let's dual purpose that stadium and let's have 2 city teams. I think that'd be an awesome thing for us to work on.
I totally agree. 100% agree with all of that. Justin, last 2 things. People asked us, where did we go to high school, and wanted us to talk about our own soccer past. That was from Corey and Eric P on Twitter. Justin, high schools, I went to DeSmet Jesuit. I think I made that. Actually, I talked about it in the last podcast.
Yeah, I went to St. Francis Borgia. I mentioned it when I started. Go Knights.
And Justin,
if you haven't gotten out there yet, get to the Washmo Fair. I'll do that plug. I knew you were waiting for it.
I knew
Washmo Fair, first Wednesday of August. We have Nelly coming on that Friday. I think it's like August 7th. Get out there if you want to. It's not that long of a drive. Get a little Airbnb because you're not going to be able to drive home.
And in terms of soccer pass, so I think we talked a little bit about that. So I was a goalie. I stopped playing soccer after my senior year in high school. Played with some great players at DeSmet. We won state my junior year at that time. But as a goalie, I'm 5'11". I was kind of too short to be standing out to anyone, and I wasn't athletic enough to make up for it. So it was a good high school experience, but kind of learned college wasn't going to be for me. So I chose to enjoy it. But Justin, you ended up kind of where I ended up as well.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for that one, Jake. I was going to say you were too harsh on yourself, but you just shoot right to me before I could even answer. Yeah, I played high school soccer at St. Francis Borgia. I played on the academy team at Gallagher. Ended up actually losing the national championship to the New York Red Bulls my junior year with Matt Miazga, guy on FC Cincinnati we just played. So I was happy to see him take an L. And then I ended up going to SLU and being on the soccer team there. I will not say that I played that much. And I did 2 years there. Wasn't playing as much as I liked, and decided to focus a little bit more on schooling as opposed to the D1 life, and did the club ball after that and went to nationals with them.
Yeah, well, I don't want to bring Justin down because we played too when we were in club ball. We played, I think, some indoor together. We definitely played against each other in outdoor. But Justin was the guy that you grew up with. That I've known probably. I don't know how long we've known each other, but I've kind of known you for a long time, and you were always the kid that just could kick the ball very far, like could just absolutely murder a ball, like at a very young age, which just wasn't very common. You were that guy.
Exactly. Yeah, I did kick high school football, and I did say at the last Battlehawks game that I will be trying out for the Battlehawks next season.
Let's
Season.
go.
I don't know if that'll be an actual decision that I do, but that'd be kind of funny.
Dude, we got to live stream that, Justin, if you do it.
Oh, absolutely. I tried. I sent some videos out to some colleges, got no response. We got a quick one here, Jake, from Michael Stromberg. Jake's in net, Justin to the PK line, 10 shots, over under 7.5 goals.
I'll say one thing, Mike, you got to learn to set your line, bro, because I think 7.5 is very friendly to me. I would maybe go 8.5 because 8.5. I mean, like I just said, if you even hit it, you still have a pretty decent chance of getting there because you're getting a lot of power in there. But I do think I can definitely get one. I can definitely get 1 in 10, and if I think I could. It'll be close, but I really do feel like 2, 3 would be the absolute most. So 7.5 feels like it'd be pretty juicy odds.
But Jake, that's you don't have to save 3. When you say I hit it, I could have easily missed the goal. I am 28 years old and do not practice my PKs very frequently.
That's true. It's a big goal though, man. People forget how that percentage chance is really solid.
All right, what if you put you in indoor?
Indoor, I could probably come up with some more saves.
All right,
it would be a lot scarier.
Maybe live stream that. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's try that sometime.
Oh man, dude. Well, this has been fun. Justin, I think we got through all the questions I think we had time for. I know we're at 45 minutes and a little bit longer now, so it's been our longest episode in a while, but hopefully you all enjoyed. Thank you for submitting all of these questions. These have been fun, and it's been fun to kind of break the just preview and recap and do some kind of off the game stuff. So thank you all for submitting those. This has been fun. We'll do it again if people like it.
That's what I was going to say, Jake. I'm going to do 2 quick plugs. We will kind of be doing that on Saturday. Come down to Sports and Social. We'll be there at 5:30 p.m. I'm happy to, Jake. I mean, we haven't talked about it yet. If we just want to open it up to questions, we can have people just relay them to us as we're live, and we can talk about them at the end. I know we got a lot to cover while we're down there, but I mean, the people are coming. Let's just do it. I'm down for that. And otherwise, we'll do this again. This has been great. I was surprised by the amount of questions we got. This is pretty cool just for posting it up today. Other plug. I've mentioned the Battlehawks a couple times. Took an L this past weekend. If we would have won, we'd be going to the championship for our division. Now, we play at home at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Yes, this is a soccer podcast. Go Battlehawks. But the reason I'm getting to this is I will be going to the pitch for breakfast. If you guys want to see us, I'll be at the pitch for breakfast ahead of that Battlehawks game on Saturday at 11 a.m. I'm going to try to get down there 8:30, do some drinks, do some breakfast. Then we're going to head over to the Battlehawks game. So go to the pitch. They open up at 6:30 on Saturdays and Sundays now. They just tagged us in one of their breakfast posts. It looks absolutely phenomenal. They sent us the menu too. They've been trying to fill it out. Also, there's some EPL games, obviously, they're going to be on. So go there if you not only just to eat some breakfast, but to watch some ball.
Amen. We love the pitch. I'm going to try to be there as well, Justin. So we'll have some company, hopefully. So you all should definitely come out and have a Saturday, man. The pitch, Battlehawks, Sports and Social for the ball watching pregame and the ball watching and the sport. St. Louis City about to go, 7 wins now? Against Colorado, so it's going to be a hell of a Saturday. And
mix in a water. It's going to be a late Saturday night with an 8:30 start.
Definitely mix in some water so you can stick with us all day. But thank you all for tuning in today. This is Ball Watching Jake and Justin signing off. We'll talk to you on Saturday.
Go City, go USA.